Was your father the first child born in Port Richey?
I was always told that. I wasn't there.
Do you, where was the house that he was born in?
Well, it's not there anymore.
It's not?
No. I don't think they have a picture of the, what are you doing?
Well, I thought I'd record this and, you know, put it on the website. It'll be a video.
Okay.
Well, then, can I ask you another question?
The Bailey Inn was built, and you gave me that picture, you know, in 1889, the year my dad was born, but he wasn't born there. The house wasn't finished when he was born.
Now, when your grandfather Clark came here, there was nothing here, I guess. There were no buildings, or were there?
You know, do you know about Salt Springs?
Yes.
In the Old Salt Road?
So would there have been residences at that time?
Hopeville,
yeah.
You know, was here.
So were people living here, or just working here?
Works.
So, and that was during the Civil War?
Yes, and before, about 1850.
So those are people living in Port Richey,
you know,
in the 1860s?
Oh, must have been earlier than that, because the Hopes came to Brooksville, and they got their land in 1842 and 43. David Hope.
They got land where, in Brooksville?
In Chocotay.
Okay.
And they received that instead of pay. But they had to clear 5 acres and protect it from whatever. But
when they were operating the salt works, I mean, they were living in what is now Port Richey during the Civil War.
Hopeville. It wasn't a city, it was a settlement.
But they were residences.
Yeah.
Right.
You remember Sauer? Built Richie's house? And they had a family there.
So roughly how many people do you think were living here during that?
You have to ask Charles that.
Yeah. But now your grandfather Clark is considered the first
permanent
settler
in Port Richey.
So when he came here, was there a house for him to live in, or did he build a house when he came here?
He built, I think they built just a 2-room place, because the house that the big house you sent me the picture of, it built in 1889.
But he came here in 1870 something, 72. And
but I don't guess he moved down. But he had come to Ocala first with Malcolm Hill, and then he wanted to raise cattle and plant orange trees, have a grove, and that Ocala was too far north, and what he did, he came on to Brooksville and started building his cattle herd. But the cattle wouldn't stay in Brooksville, no fence laws, you know, and he wouldn't, so the Old Salt Road came from Chocotay down to the salt mine, salt works, in it's Salt Springs.
Now, what persuaded him to settle here permanently?
The cattle wouldn't stay up there. They wandered down Old Salt Road to the salt works to get to the salt licks around the Salt Springs. And he finally decided he couldn't lick them, he'd join them.
So the year 1872 is, you got that from your father, I guess, is that?
Yes.
And
I think records show he bought land.
About at that time? And he built a house about that time?
Yeah. I didn't think he moved his wife here till 1874.
And he knew Aaron Richey?
He brought Aaron Richey to Port Richey.
That is, Aaron Richey came to Brooksville and he...
No, He was wagon master. He came from Kansas, Missouri.
Missouri. But then how did he meet up with your grandfather?
My grandfather, after he moved here, he maintained a meat market in Brooksville. Wasn't Brooksville, and I don't think Pierceville or something. And so he maintained a meat market. Jeff, you're sweating.
It's too hot in here.
I'm not bothered at all.
So Aaron Ritchie came to what is now Brooksville.
Yes.
And met your grandfather.
He was looking for land.
Uh-huh.
And my grandfather just happened to be there when Ritchie came into the meat market, and he told Grandpa Clark that he was looking for land, and my grandpa said, "I'll take you to Port Richey." Wasn't Port Richey then, at Hopeville. And so that's what he brought him down here. And you heard stories about Mr. Ritchie building his house out
On an island.
Yes.
Yes.
But he didn't build it, Master Sauer did.